Okay, so welcome to the Q&A. Sorry for the sub. I've clearly got to stream more often. A little bit tweaking. Ideally, I would have a chat window up on the stream. Was something that I didn't quite end up with time to add. But I do have the chat window open in my browser, so happy to answer your questions from here. So, did people enjoy what they saw tonight or today, depending on your time zone? Ah, thank you. Glad you liked it. Any favorite moments or anything like what were people more interested in, like GDI, Nod, the Tiberium stuff? Awesome sauce. Also, this looks nice. Yeah, the Tiberium stuff is pretty cool to look at. It also has a pretty good impact on gameplay. Like, did you realize that the map wide iron storm that was occurring on that last match we played? There were smaller roaming storms first created by the Tiberium fields on the map. Then multiple of those storms being created caused the map wide iron storm to happen. And then once that's in, yeah, it's basically in for the rest of the match. At least for now, I haven't put a way to subside a map-wide storm, like even if you destroyed all the Tiberium. I mean, it's like that, maybe we could provide a method to break out of a map-wide iron storm, like, but I kind of like the idea that it's permanent, that like once it's gotten that bad, yeah, you're just kind of stuck with dealing with the consequences. Yeah, that's why, like on some of the other maps, like Grand Canyon, that we played before the last map, Triple Delta, you probably noticed some of the roaming storms moving around on that, which I pointed out. Um, it's a bit hard to see the edge of the storm because there was one stage where we made the edge of the storm way too easy to spot, so we softened the edges. But now I think maybe sometimes it's harder. Sometimes at the moment it's hard to tell where a roaming storm ends and begins. So I think we need to tweak that just a bit. And Tiberium changing the battlefield does bring some of Tiberian Sun's elements over in the sense that while Tiberian Sun didn't have as transformational maps as we have with Tiberium, what they did have is damageable terrain, and then once that terrain was damaged or deformed, that was permanent. So in that sense, yeah, like Tiberium changes, some of them persist. Some can be reversed. Like if you could have a map where there's no vein hole monsters, and then you could have a vein hole monster be created mid-match, and then Nod is obviously going to go for that to try to get the chemical missile, or you could deny it to them by killing it. Um, so that's it. It's not completely random. Like we do actually largely decide what maps, like what things we're going to allow to happen, and largely sort of where they're going to happen. Experimenting with completely random elements of the Tiberium ecosystem is something I'm keen to explore more, but I'm not sure it's going to be fun. Like I think if we do that, we'll have some maps that are set up that way that like will have like kind of an asterisk next to them. They're like, yeah, like these maps are unpredictable because they could be vein holes one match, Iron Storm's another match, a whole bunch of Tiberium Fiends the next match. You don't know. So yeah, trying to avoid that kind of randomness, but it might be interesting to have that at least in a couple of maps. Hmm. At least just as an experiment. We can always have one or two maps that have that, and if they turn out to be not that much fun, oh well, it's only a couple of maps. If and I'm sure it's something that some people might actually prefer, but I know professional players or people that take the game really seriously do like a certain degree of predictability. So I think largely what we're aiming for is less for the Tiberium ecosystem to be a random thing, but more it's a system that we want to make it learnable. Like with the Tiberium fields, before the iron storms formed, you saw the electricity appearing over the field, and that got more intense over time. That's kind of trying to communicate that an iron storm is in the process of forming. So like as much as possible, we're putting little cues and helpers to help you sort of, if you're observant, you can get an idea of transformations that are about to happen as they happen. And if you're not very observant, yeah, things are just going to seem to come seemingly out of nowhere. But no, they're just happening slowly in the background. Tiberium is always changing. Yeah, so people are excited about campaign. Yeah, I can totally dig that. As I said, the main priority right now is to focus on multiplayer skirmish. So that was just more a taste, just to show that hey, like we are interested, but we're just trying to keep our eye on the prize and not not try to add more reasons to delay launch. Yeah, so like because I know people are getting a bit impatient, which is understandable. I know I'd want to. It's just our main concern is we wanted people to have the best experience possible. Want them to be able to finish games, and definitely back the last time we were seriously looking at launching that version, we were getting like very unstable matches, and we basically declared it unplayable. So tonight went better than expected. But that said, we were using the memory patch, so we want to do more tests with and without it, make some judgment calls based on those tests, and also finish up some work that's left in that version to get it ready for potential release. So I suppose we'll make an announcement about where we're going with that soon. But yeah, we're at least exploring it. So before originally we were holding hard and fast to finishing the optimization, but because it's taken longer than we had planned, and I know people want to play it, and we really want people to play it too. Yeah, we're definitely going to look into this. So if you look in the background, the shell map that we created, which is intended for the menus, um, if it keeps looping around, eventually iron storms start occurring in it and changes the outcome of some of the battles. So that was an interesting observation with the Tiberium ecosystem running in. Where we started the stream, we ran through that shell map, which is intended to be our menu, and there's no iron storm. So yeah, that's one that's just generated within that session. Yes, the firestorm generator does work. We actually just showed that in action on the previous match. The only thing we didn't show was it blocking a multi-missile, but that was largely, it blocking a cluster missile. That was largely just the Nod player didn't launch one at us. Was the only reason, not really. But we did use it to buy us some time and stop, like, what we did to demonstrate today showed that Nod couldn't attack through the firestorm once it was activated. Completely halted the battle and allowed me more time to build more disruptors from my war factory. So when the firestorm dropped, the firestorm shield dropped. My disruptors rolled through and destroyed the Nod forces that were waiting on the other side of the shield. So that worked out pretty well for me. What didn't work out well was when I got cocky and sent all my forces into the enemy base, not realizing they had the dropship base still, and they rolled me with a dropship order that was pretty impressive. Yeah, that was a good AI play. Made for an interesting finish. There's amphibious units, but there's no naval force aside from the amphibious units. So we're not doing red alert style naval combat. Thank you, Dionysus. It's really nice to hear. Yeah, I try not to get too dragged down by negativity when it comes up, but it is a little disappointing when it does emerge. I was just reading in the Discord servers that some people weren't having as good a luck with the stream quality as some of you. I'm just hoping that it's rewatching it that it's smooth for people. I might need to get a faster internet connection for streaming for future if it's been a bit laggy. I do apologize. My intention was to try to show complete gameplay rather than just edited footage, which is largely what we put up before. And usually because I think without a commentary, like I've been worried that people would be interested enough to watch like a 10-minute match or something, like just it happening. So that's why I've usually edited footage is just to try to keep it interesting. But at least live streaming it like this and being able to talk about it as it's happening, and I hope that was more interesting for people. Hopefully, assuming it's all watchable for people. Yeah, thanks, Dionysus. Yeah, suddenly there's been some difficult challenges in the past 12 months for like I mean just a lot of real life stuff. Like for different members of the team, it's been completely different stuff, and not all bad stuff too. Like some of it's been very positive. Like I said, one person on our team has like, started a family. Another had some health issues. Me, I started a new job, so we've just had a lot of different things going on lately. That said, things are going pretty well at the moment, but definitely we had some rough patches earlier in the uh sort of a little bit of last year, a little bit this year. It's been a bit of it's come up at the worst possible times really when we've had disruptions from real life stuff. But it's been frustrating, but there's not been a lot I could do about it. Yeah, I'm definitely keeping that in mind. I mean, if people being receptive like that definitely is a bit more encouraging. And the biggest concern we had, especially when it used to be a lot worse, like yeah, there was definitely a time where we could barely get through a game. And So we've made a lot of refinements since then, even in the unoptimized version, which um, yeah, merits revisit for sure. Because I think how bad it used to be is really stuck in a lot of the team's minds, um, and if we could have finished the optimized version faster, yeah, that was our preference, just to get that released because it'll be a completely separate uh, code, like the uh, pardon me, the optimized version is like won't just be a patched version of the unoptimized one. If we did release them separately, there'll be two completely separate mods in a way, even though they'll be doing the same thing. Just one way smoother, faster, and just better than the other. The atmosphere. Well, that was yeah, for us the atmosphere of Tiberian Sun very memorable. And whenever we talked on the team back when we were like designing this thing, I remember we talked a lot about how Tiberian Sun had a very distinct atmosphere, distinct feel, and part of it was the music, part of it was the world that Tiberian Sun depicted. Um, and the Tiberium ecosystem was more an idea that I was excited about exploring ever since I originally started as a modder for the original Tiberian Sun. That was one of the first games I ever modded. I made a mod called Tiberium Rising 2000. It was the worst name ever. Uh, but obviously I liked the Rising part, so that part lived on in this product. But just Tiberian Sun Rising, yeah, much better. The um the 2000 thing came because yeah, Tiberian Sun came out in 1999. So yeah, I was releasing a mod in for the original Tiberian Sun in like early 2000. It was pretty basic. It didn't like I had a lot of amazing ideas, but not anywhere near the amount of skill or experience I have now, and was limited a bit by the engine as well at the time. Although that said, um, I thought I knew Tiberian Sun's engine's limits, but when I look at what mods like Tiberium Warzone have done and other Tiberian Sun modders, I'm blown away by what they've been able to do with that engine today. So yeah, I think it really goes to show that if you really put in the work in any engine, you can make it do some incredible things. And at the end of the day, people play games for an awesome game. Sure, the nicest graphics are nice, but they're not necessarily the must-have. I mean, for the AAAs, I can certainly understand that yeah, they kind of need the cutting-edge graphics to, how much money they're spending. It's just kind of expected. But yeah, for indies and modders, that's not super practical. Especially, most mod products aren't funded in any way and are created out of pure passion. So, um, whereas indies, I mean, come in both sorts in the sense, some indies will do a Kickstarter or they'll get funding. Some will just do it as a passion thing. You've got a lot of variety in that sector of the industry. Um, no, the 0 hour variant of Tiberian Sun Rising was originally called Tiberian Ascension. And then it got renamed Tiberium Rising not long after. It was actually Tiberian Ascension. Sorry, Tiberian Ascension was originally a Command & Conquer Generals mod that was very short-lived and very quickly changed the name to Tiberian Sun Rising as a 0 hour mod because 0 hour had way better modding capabilities than Generals. Well, maybe not way, but just better. It was a significant improvement. And I was actually playing that build, that old Generals build recently, just looking back at it. Because this showcase, I was considering doing a retrospective, and still might. I think it'd be an interesting video. But I think people wanted to see the latest more, and I wanted to show the latest running and managing to get through a whole stream. So that was really encouraging to know that. But definitely later, I want to do a video on looking back at the old Tiberian Sun Rising for like 0 hour, how far we got, which I would view it more like an alpha. Um, like we made some pretty impressive strides. Like I was impressed by some of the things we managed to achieve looking back at it. But there were other things that, and especially with all the optimization work we've been doing, there were some things that I just looked at that was absolutely made me face palm. Like, oh my god, like there was back then when I was modding 0, I was doing some things that were not that were really pushing the engine and not being very uh, mindful of the performance impact. I mean, I think largely back then I was just trying to get all the features of Tiberian Sun working in general, so I wasn't too concerned with the cost of doing it. But the I remember CNC3 that changed, and we're trying to do better. But still, as modders, yeah, we had limited knowledge. But as I've worked in the industry since, and and came back to the project and a number of times really, but it's been an on again, off again in that respect to some degree because of that. But every time I've come back from an industry role, I've come back with so much more knowledge and experience. And when we were having the big stability problems when we made the decision to optimize, that's where, yeah, a lot of my industry experience and also just everything people on the team had learned in the years in this project that we knew that, oh, we know how to deal with this, but it's going to be a lot of work. And that's when the plan for the optimized version came about. April Fool's project. Yeah, that might be fun, maybe. If I can bring myself to work with INI files again. I was digging through some of the INI files, just going, how? How does one work with these? Like I used to, but CNC3 at least uses XML files, which is so much nicer. It's just so much nicer. But that said, like these days I use Unreal Engine for like game development. That's my preferred engine, and you know you can do so much of just Blueprint in that, which is like a visual scripting language for C++. And then if you really want to push things forward, C++, which I've been learning more in that area. I'm better at C# programming, but I'm becoming more of a C++ programmer. Oh, that's cool. So I'm just reading your comment unseen. That sounds like an insane mod, just bringing a lot of things together there. I'm curious how well the engine would have handled all that, actually. Yeah, Dionysus, yeah, I remember. I clearly had a lot more patience back when I was working with the INI files of generals, because I find them very difficult to work with now. I think, yeah, the XML was such a huge upgrade in CNC3 and Red Alert 3. It's hard to go back. I mean, it's similar going from generals back to like, because yeah, as I said, I started as like a Tiberian Sun modder, right? Like I remember when I was modding generals and I tried to go back to modding Tiberian Sun, and like modding Tiberian Sun is still pretty easy, but because Tiberian Sun's like a lot more limited than something like generals, you're like, it's like a complete mind shift of like, oh right, like I can't just define game objects and attach modules to them like I can in generals. Like I can define it. I can create a new unit, but um, I'm very limited to what I can attach to that unit. And there's a lot of switches I can switch to turn things on and off, but I can't just take say like in generals you can take the behavior like a special power or something and attach it to an object. Tiberian Sun you can't just do that on anything. You have to do it on a structure. You have to do it in a very specific way. We can't just put it on a vehicle or a unit. Whereas in generals or CNC3, yeah, you could create an infantry that could summon a super weapon if you really wanted to, or any kind of crazy thing that you can think of, which is one of the really cool things about modding generals in CNC3 and Red Alert 3 as well, because they all work pretty similarly. Because they're all the Sage engine. Generals is just an older version of the CNC3 engine. Red Alert 3 is just a newer version of the CNC3 engine. EA just kept improving that engine every time, which we probably all know that. So yeah, but for anyone that didn't, yeah. Well, that said, we've still got Gamescom this year. Sadly, I won't be there, but there is Tempest Rising that is playable right now during and will be during Gamescom, and I imagine they yeah, I won't be surprised if they're showing stuff at Gamescom. I mean, it is the place to bring an RTS game. Yeah, if you're gonna exhibit something. So I look forward to seeing what any announcements they have. Yeah, it was a shame about Ice Storm. I had really nice art. I think the problem they ran into was they tried to do a lot of it themselves, and that's one thing I can't highlight enough. If it wasn't for the team that I work with, I really would have struggled. Like, there have been periods I've dragged this product through and kept it alive myself, but there's also been periods where the team has, or a member of the team has helped drag the product through to survive a bit where I've been unavailable. Like when I went to work off in the game industry, that was a good example where I usually just didn't have much time to help out. Um, so like everywhere, there's always been someone to sort of pitch in and keep this thing going, where it's been me or someone else, um, and yeah, there's always been someone working on something for the project. Um, and that's, I think, helped us a lot. But in other ways, I think in retrospect, there's better ways we could run the team, or or just smarter ways of working. But managing a volunteer team of people from like all over the world, um, and it's a volunteer product, so no one can be paid or anything. Like, just people have to do it because they want to do it. So it means it's difficult to set a deadline because, you know, like if you're paying someone to meet a deadline, that that makes a lot of sense. And people are like, cool, like since they're being paid, they will work to meet that deadline. But in a volunteer project, you don't have that. That's not an option. So it's just like, well, we want to work towards this date. Let's all work really hard. But then, whatever people's jobs take priority, and so it's always a balancing act. Because yeah, like we all need our jobs, so like this always has to be something that we maintain without endangering our employments, I guess. Yeah. Um, I can't quite remember what ended up happening with Tiberium Secrets and Tiberium Cataclysm. Yes, humans do need food. We like it. I do want to clear the air here. So some people don't actually understand how ModDB works in the sense that like once you've placed in the mod of the year, in either released or unreleased category. So we have placed in mod of the year in the unreleased category before. Any mod that has placed in that category can't win again. So we we keep posting stuff every mod of the year because we think it's an exciting time to post updates. Every other mod is. We're not trying to win it. We've already won. We've already placed highly in an unreleased mod of the year before. We can't win it again. So until we release, and then once we release, then we actually will be up for the possibility of winning a mod of the year. But while we're in the unreleased category, yeah, we've had our win back in I forget what year it was, but yeah, that's it was a while back. It was good. It's good, yeah. Like, it was a year we made huge strides, and I felt like the team really earned it that year that we had it. But that's it. We didn't win the mod of the year at like the absolute one spot. I think it was some mod for I think it was a Stargate mod actually that won that year, but we got like place in, it was like number 5 or number 7, like we were in the top 10, which was awesome. But yeah, like yeah, when we post in the mod year, yeah, like we've always said since we made that top 10 that one year, every year afterward basically said that, look, it's mod of the year, vote for your favorite mod. If you look back at what we said, like we appreciate the votes, but we know we can't actually win until we release. And then we've got to, well, if people feel we've earned it, then maybe we can. But um, there's a lot of great mods, so I'm not gonna just assume that, like that would get it or be really nice. But yeah, I mean, if I've learned anything in my journey in the game development, you don't do things for the awards. You do it because you love it. And if there are awards, that's always nice. So we definitely appreciate people's support, and it's also helped us keep going. Like some years where we've had a really rough year, and we still see that a lot of people voted for us on the mod of the year. That's been really encouraging when that's happened, and that has really helped keep us going. So to see some people complaining about us posting a mod of the year is a little bit disappointing in the sense that like it's like you realize that like the positive feedback we got during those times like helped us stay motivated to keep going. So like uh yeah, like especially when we've had a year where we've like during the COVID years kind of got our asses kicked. I think everyone did. So that we really need some positive reinforcement. Mod of the year was that for us. Like that helped us like yeah, like we had a lot of people supporting us like that, and that helped us to muddle through. Tiberium Essence has really made a lot of strides. Like they made something really impressive. Um last time I was playing Essence, I was like, wow, like this. I'm really impressed how much Carnius can do. As far as I'm aware, he does it all himself, which yeah, total respect. I know how much work that is, and yeah, it's a lot to take on by oneself. I'm definitely someone that prefers to work in a team. Just like I could do a solo project, but I enjoy teaching others. Like before I took this new job, I was teaching game development, and I really enjoyed that. And I like sharing the experience of others and building, building it together. Um, Doing it all by myself is different. I've done it for like some really small stuff that I've like um, prototyped or experimented with, but yeah, I think building something with a team is generally more exciting because you also get each person adds a different element to the project, and it's not quite something you would have thought of on your own. So I also like that part of the creative process. Hmm. And I think sometimes I set the bar, well, I probably have set the bar too high. Um, and that's probably led to me taking on some unnecessary burden with some aspects. But as I said, we've reached heights I don't think we could have reached without that. So, but I do wonder sometimes if we would have finished long or in a shorter time if we just had lower standards. But um, I wonder how it would turn out. And when I look back at the general's version, I was like, like Yeah, if we lowered our standards, we probably would have stopped there. So I'm glad we kind of. Well, I hope people are impressed with how far it's come because I think um, keep the fact or how far it's come. I think we've definitely grown a lot, and it shows in the project. And I hope people will enjoy it when we get it out. Oh, I bet. Um, and that's probably one of the things that actually helps with industry products, like well, when you're like working on a professional game, in the sense is that like it has an actual budget, right? So that usually helps put a clock on it in the sense that like we can only keep funding this professional game for this long because the studio only has this much money. So like we have to get it done by this date, or we're all in big trouble. Um, and that certainly helps motivate. But that's yeah, it's a completely different thing because studios making games to make money, mods are making it for the passion, and usually because the IP, the intellectual property is owned by someone else. In this case, EA owns Command and Conquer, and it's their IP, um, and if they get to decide what happens with it. And I'm really grateful they actually allow the Command and Conquer modding community to do what it does, really. So like EA has actually been pretty cool in that aspect because yeah, I mean, when you think about it, they actually have pretty big modding communities for a lot of their games. Sims, Battlefield, Command and Conquer, and there's a few others. And yeah, EA did a really good job making the engines for these games, Command and Conquer 3, Relic 3, the mod SDKs they built certainly empowered modders with the most powerful tool set they've ever had compared to older games in the series. So yeah, like I mean, makes me a little bit upset sometimes for like how much people hate on EA. Like I get it. It's like there's a lot of things that people look from the outside and go, like they should have done better here, but I don't like we don't have the full story, right? Like we don't know what really happened. So like I think it's easy to make observations like that, but um yeah, and I think there are times when like EA maybe is focused on other things. But I think when it's really counted, EA has listened and made some really stellar decisions, like the adding the Steam Workshop support to the Command and Conquer Remaster, and also open sourcing the DLL or some of the DLLs. Was this an unprecedented move? Actually, I don't think we've ever seen EA do anything like that before. Like that was a step beyond what they'd done with like the mod SDKs in the past. So that was really awesome, and I know a lot of us have Jim Vasella to thank for that. So yeah, that was really awesome. That's it. Well, I am really enjoying this chat. Did anyone have any other questions to wrap up on? Because I think we are. Um, it's getting pretty late here in Australia, and I've got work the next day. So this is about as long as I'd planned to stream. So I hope people enjoyed what we came to show. Uh, Go easy on me. It's like my second time streaming, so I was trying to be entertaining, but I was also trying to also play the game and describe things or talk about things that people would be interested in. And I'm actually really appreciating how many balls like professional streamers actually have to juggle to do like a really entertaining, high quality stream. It's actually a lot of work. So you know, Like I never doubted that, but it's just like, you know, experiencing it firsthand, you see how much it is. It's like, yeah. Oh, thanks, Unseen. That said, I might have to practice streaming more so I can make it even better for next time. But yeah, definitely learned a lot from the experience, and also, yeah, to definitely do more tests with the configuration beforehand, so I don't have to involve the audience in my mic checks. That wasn't great. Thanks, Jekyll. Thanks, Unseen. And thanks, Dionysus. Really enjoyed chatting with you all. And thanks for coming today. And yeah, happy 24th anniversary Tiberian Sun, the game that inspired so many of us and this community, and also the other community called Good Games too. But I do feel Tiberian Sun has held a special place in a lot of people's hearts because you know we have had a lot of incredible Tiberian Sun focus projects. Tiberian Sun Reborn. Um, there's also the you know Renegade X Firestorm. You know, Tiberium Essence, which is very Tiberian Sun inspired. Um, I guess yeah, Tiberian Sun Rising us as well, and well, hopefully we're up there. And I'm sure there's some other mods I'm just not thinking of, but yeah, like there's a lot of really high caliber Tiberian Sun focused projects, so I think that is really awesome. People are well served for awesome Tiberian Sun experiences. Alrighty, that's it. We'll call it a wrap. Take care, everyone. Thanks for coming. Hope you had a good day. And stick around in the Tiberian Sun Anniversary channel. There's more coming up. We've still got like 8 days. Let me count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or maybe it's more like 6 days. But yeah, there's still plenty more events. A lot of awesome mods. Stick around in the Tiberian Sun Anniversary channel. Check it all out. Thanks, Jalolo. We'll appreciate your support at Model of the Year. Alright, I'm gonna end the stream.